Alright, so let's talk about early Photoshop. The first thing you gonna notice if you've been on my channel is the all-seeing eye in the logo. Now we know what the fuck that means, right? It's been something they've been using to trick us for longer than most people think. But this is 1989, 1990 when it gets released to the public for you to use on a personal computer. Now, in all of the earlier Adobe Photoshop logos, they have an eye somewhere in the logo. You can see one right here. Be smart, people. Y'all know why they got these eyes in the logos. Right in the middle of that camera is clearly an eye right there. Here you go again. The all-seeing eye. The eye of Horus, or whatever you want to call it. Here we go again. Adobe Photoshop 4.0. This is only the earlier versions though. After a while they took that shit out. I guess they knew people would catch on eventually. Here you go again in 5.0. .5. It's got the eye in there and the rainbow colors. Same colors they use to push this LGBT agenda. 6.0. You got the same thing going on. It doesn't stop. Photoshop elements. They key in on this one eye and got this eye inside of an Internet Explorer box right here. So it's the same shit basically. 7.0. Same thing. Got the eye in the logo. And this is when they start taking it out. But still, they got the rainbow colors going on. So it's basically the same shit. That little symbolism. And then they start taking it out for good. Well, all the earlier versions of Photoshop, it got the eye symbolism in most of them. So, on top of that, they've been photoshopping photos since the 19th century, maybe even before. People think there's some new shit that just came out in the 90s and 2000s. Nah. They released it to the public to use around that time. But, of course, they gonna use it the best way they can to trick the masses way before you even know about it. So, ain't no telling what they used it for, right? Ain't no telling what they try to pass off as real and it's been fake this whole time. Like, look at this. It's a bunch of headless photos. I'll show you the whole title. Before the Photoshop, headless portraits from the 19th century. So they can obviously manipulate these photographs and take the head off somebody and put it in a different place way back in the 19th century. That's no different from Photoshop. Look at this. Head taken clean off. Let's read this paragraph. The 19th century is generally remembered as the time of science and technology, when the ideas of Charles Darwin and the telegraph of Samuel Morse changed the world forever. However, there was a lighter side to the Victorian era. A number of Victorian photographers combined images from more than one negative to create illusions or novelty portraits. Headless photographs featured men and women with their heads floating in the air or in their laps. So this was back when Darwin and who is this? Samuel Morse was around. The Victorian era. I guess this is when it all started. They say it's remembered as a time of science and technology. That's key. And this is the things, the type of things, that they can pull off with the technology back then. They just release it to you way later and act like it's some new shit. Look at this. Head taken clean off of this man. Put it in his own hand. If that ain't Photoshop, then what is it? He holding his head like a football. Now just imagine what they could do with all them photos, involving slavery, the Holocaust, and hanging people and shit. They'll probably act like they hanging somebody, have them standing on a box or something, tell them get on their tiptoes and play dead. This motherfucker alive and well, got their eyes rolled back and shit, trying to play their role. We thinking they getting hung, and little do we know there was a damn table they was standing on or something, and just photoshopping it out of the picture and making it look real. Now they could definitely do that, what I just said about the hanging back then, if they could take your head clean off. Look at this. No head right here. Crazy, right? Alright, I think y'all seen enough of this. Y'all get the picture. No pun intended. Now let's look at this girl. I don't know how to pronounce her name. I think it's Reupload. I'ma just say it like that. They say she was a 17-year-old girl that tried to stand up to the Nazis back in the day, and they hung her ass. Now let's look at this. Now that we know what we know, that they was using Photoshop and shit. You see they got the picture of them tying her up, right? They got a picture of her hanging. Now why should we believe this shit is real nowadays? You know what I'm saying? When we know they could do Photoshop back then. They probably had this girl standing on a table or something sturdy, told her to play dead, close your eyes and do whatever you gotta do to make it real. Erase that shit out of the picture and then try to pass it off as a fake story. Look, she's standing on something right now while they tying her up. So they could have just used this same thing, photoshopped it out of the picture, and passed it off as a real hanging. Why should we believe these people? They've been tricking us for the longest, right? It's fake history, fake stories and shit like that. Emmett Till. How about Emmett Till? Why should we believe that they actually beat this man to death and made him look like that when we know that they could manipulate photos back then? Why should we believe? There's no good reason to believe them. And if you think that this eye being in like all of the Photoshop logos or whatever you call it, if you think that's just a coincidence and ain't got nothing to do with the Illuminati and the tricks they play on us, then you gotta be a damn fool. It's literally in the first Photoshop logo, the all-seeing eye. So, y'all can take it how y'all want to take it. I'm just trying to open y'all minds up to the possibilities, because y'all know they wouldn't think twice about doing some bullshit to trick us with photo manipulation. They doing it now, and they been doing it since the 19th century. I don't know how much proof y'all need, but this should be enough for y'all to think for yourselves and figure out just how much they can trick you and how long they have been able to do it.